Well, we welcome any help on this, but I think everybody in this room is smart enough to understand when the President of the United States sets up and tweets 150 times after midnight and targets certain people, it's not a coincidence that they're targeting Minnesota. We certainly welcome those investigations. They've been done by all of you, and they've been done here. We certainly want to know that, but it's also the Transportation Secretary who is threatening to withhold our federal dollars. Look, that's who they are. This is who they are. We welcome anybody who wants to help us. We're fixing it. And I said, Minnesotans know us and our team. We led us through COVID. We led us through George Floyd. We brought our economy to one of the best in the country. And we'll tackle this. Other governors have dealt with fraud. I want to make sure I'm the last one that has to deal with it by putting these things in. If they want to help us, I welcome that. I think they do an investigation, find out, but I don't think anybody in here really believes their motive and their timing is about actually doing something about this, much like the legislature. They had every opportunity to do investigations. They had every opportunity to do their oversight. They chose not to. The very legislatures that are required to do an audit have not done their own audit. The very legislator that has Republican legislators accusing other Republican legislators of fraud in the PPP program, the federal program. So again, my message is simple on this. You commit fraud in Minnesota, you're going to prison. I don't care what color you are, what religion you are. Anybody who wants to help us in that, we welcome that. But setting on the sidelines and throwing out accusations, and let's be very clear, demonizing an entire population and lying to people about the safety and security of this state is beneath that. And I will just add, as a teacher and as a parent, the absolutely pathetic usage of a slur, not to me, I don't care what he calls me many things, but don't think that doesn't hurt our children, don't think it doesn't hurt people who are dealing with this. And this is not normal, it's not both sidesism. We're solving problems, we're making life more affordable, we're talking about bringing people in, and we're getting this. As far as the DOT on commercial driver's licenses, we follow the law as we always have. No different than any other state. What a weird coincidence that the president goes on a rant at 2 a.m. and all of a sudden his Treasury Secretary. They need to focus on the war crimes that are coming up. They need to focus on making life more affordable. They need to focus on the issues they're dealing with. But here in Minnesota, we're announcing today one of the best programs in the country, one of the most popular programs in the country, one that has great state employees making it work, and one that's going to benefit Martha and Nell and all these employees, and that's what Minnesotans are asking for.
Governor, just a quick follow-up to that. Have any of the state agencies that you oversee ever identified any fraud and money being sent overseas being used for any illegal activity?
No, and look, that doesn't mean that it couldn't happen. I don't know what criminals do with their money. You know, they buy drugs, buy houses, buy cars, or whatever. These are criminals. This is the same thing if somebody broke into your house and stole your stuff and us saying, why didn't you have 6 locks on that door? Well, maybe you should have. And we're saying, yeah, maybe we should have more locks. You're absolutely right. We should do more on that. But these are folks that took advantage of a system. And again, in every one of these programs, the Republicans' response to this is after the fact, Monday morning quarterback it, and then say cut the program. If that is happening, those people should go to prison. They should go to jail. I would just add, though, money being funneled to folks who aren't supportive of the United States. We just had a state dinner for the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, who is directly responsible for the murder of American journalists. That seems to me to be something Republicans should be concerned about, because that is factual based and researched and verified. That's a little different than this speculation, but I welcome the help. We do all we can. DPS is on this, and I think noting on this that we have a new investigative unit that we put in. We have new powers from the legislature to shut down payments. We're going to have every one of those programs as tight as these are. And I will note on this with Commissioner Verlick and his team to give them some kudos. Minnesota's unemployment insurance, which was robbed in billions of dollars from other states. California lost $5-6 billion in unemployment insurance. I believe it was Iowa and Minnesota were ranked as the two most secure, or one of the most secure unemployment insurance. And those are folks that's where the most money flows through, that and Medicaid.
Governor, just a quick follow-up to the Treasury Secretary's comments. Has MnDOT been notified of withholding these funds? And
Yes.
What does that look like? And what is the impact of if those funds are indeed withheld to state projects?
Again, commercial driver's license has been around for 90 years. This program's been out there. Strange coincidence that the president goes on a rant and uses a slur against me, and I just ask him to do what every other president's done, release his medical records, and now they bring this in. We have had time to look what they're saying. We have run commercial driver's licenses, and I may make note of this about making life better for people. Just this week, I got my briefing, and we're going to have the year-end briefing on this. The Minnesota State Patrol and Minnesotans have reduced Minnesota's traffic deaths by over 80 a year, 25%, making us one of the top states for highway safety. This threat, based on procedures we have been doing, following the law, implementing the law for decades, now puts at risk the things that we're doing to improve safety on this. So once again, nothing they did there improves the lives of Minnesotans, but potentially makes our highways less safe, puts our folks at risk. So we've been notified of it. We looked at it. My statement on this is we are following the law exactly as it's written, exactly as we implemented it for decades. And coincidentally, today they decide to keep piling these things on. My expectation is today we will probably see an increased presence of immigration folks in our city. We will probably see the president threaten to use National Guard again. This is a president in spiral, doing nothing to make life cheaper for Minnesotans or Americans, and we understand who he's targeting. And I say this to Minnesotans, I'm trying very hard to not add to that, but I can't control how he thinks. I can't control how he responds. And so what you can be sure with us is we'll continue to implement the law as written. We'll continue to put Minnesotans' safety, security, and well-being first and foremost.
Governor, on the press a few days ago, you said that you take responsibility for putting people in jail, but all the fraud so far has been federal prosecutions. Why did you say?
They prosecute.
Why did you erroneously say that you?
I didn't erroneously say that. We're the ones that our agencies are bringing it up. We're referring them over. This is how this works. We were through it through the BCA. This is Drew Evans and the superintendent of BCA. These are Minnesota folks who work in state government, who are the ones that are helping build the case, turn it over to the federal authorities. So that is totally false. That is totally wrong. It is Minnesotans. It is Minnesota's investigators. It is the IGs that are over there, Investigator Clark, that are doing the things of putting people in jail.
Well, then why aren't there state prosecutions?
The federal laws that they're choosing to do federal prosecutions. We will prosecute on every single thing we can. Many cases we get longer ones. Is your assertion is that we don't have anything to do with the investigations? That is totally false. We're the ones who brought it to them. We're the ones who alerted the FBI. We're the ones. We turn these cases over every day. Drug cases, human trafficking cases. We would prosecute them. What I can tell you is I am deeply concerned now that they are being federally prosecuted because just yesterday the president commuted and pardoned a sentence of a fraudster who took billions and billions of dollars, who served 12 days and was sentenced by an American jury to 45 years. So I am concerned that he releases the fraudsters because they're on federal. If they don't want to prosecute it, we will certainly take them. But this is normal how this works. So my statement is we are prosecuting and helping put people in jail who are committing fraud in Minnesota, and nothing will change on that.